you know, catering a block area and, that's something, you know, telling people that, you know, you have to follow these rules, and so you have to go through, you know, your group, specifying and setting extra rules, you know, for a property owner, if you want to improve it, or based on their dollars they have available to maintain this property. I understand your point, trying to keep it as they have, but sometimes you can't. And sometimes they don't want to because they want money.
That's true. And the process acknowledges that. There's a process for economic hardship, and then of course they can always appeal to the village board. We can't our only advisory. Our denial doesn't mean they can't do it. They go through the village board.
See, now you're appealing. You know, why should you, like I said, property owners have rights. You know, it sounds like they don't now. If you want to proceed with this, why don't they make their own decision?
Can I ask a question real quick along the line? So, if I'm understanding, so by using Village Green, it allows for more contiguous property because it would be, the Village Green would be the center point.
The advantage of having the Village Green as part of the district would allow us, for example, the house that's landmarked on the west side of the Village Green, the Smith residence. If a house across on the Des Plaines side would like to be in the district,
Well,
we can reach them going across.
But that's the question I want to make sure the board's aware of as a whole. By bringing in the Village Green, then that becomes the center point to where it allows, basically that's where the contiguous part comes from.
Right.
Otherwise, if you had 3 houses that wanted to be a historical district, and the 4th house did it, the historical district would stop at the 3rd house.
Right.
Whereas now the supermajority becomes anybody around that Village Green. So there could be houses that would be in the minority, but because they're attached to the Village Green, would then be included in the historical district.
If they want to. I mean,
I
again,
got
we
you.
have to
Okay.
have, the village trustees have not approved historic districts that do not have a high participation rate. The people, if they're, the first time we tried to get the downtown historic district, we had affirmative no's at too high a percentage rate for the village trustees to support. So they denied that district. They did not approve that historic district. So they asked us, they said, listen, you know, we believe our downtown is important historically, and we think a historic district is the right thing, but we have to make sure that the property owners are in it. They want to be in it. They understand the value. And so we went back to the drawing board, back to the education process, just to make sure that people understood the goals, the benefits, and then the process. So hopefully any sort of fears were based on the real rules, the real situation, versus somebody thinking that there's no review right now, and suddenly there would be. There's review right now. There's planning review, there's permit review, there's design guidelines. This is another layer, but it's 21 days when you prepare properly. So
But there
Then
could
you
be
get
people who
projects.
actually vote no because of the 7th Green, or because using Village Green could be included in the district then automatically.
As long as
That's
the
what- that was my
the
understanding.
percentage is high enough.
Right,
You
as long as you have the
only have one
supermajority.
vote like everybody
Like, we
else.
only have 1 vote, but if the majority, because of how we're using us as the centerpiece, then becomes a historical district, we could have a situation where people who are surrounding the Village Green would then be incorporated into the district if they voted no regardless. So that's the only thing I want to make sure we're clear, because that was what Michael and I had spoken about after the last committee meeting.
that's true, but you're also permitting those that want to be
No,
in on the other side.
Sure.
Because you have
Well,
opportunity.
can't they just participate on their own? You know, knowing the fact that it's an older structure, and to know it, and take pride of their old property and, you know, maintain it.
We can
You know,
individually landmark.
store it back.
It's just
It doesn't hold anybody
a lot of
back.
work and we're volunteers.
Well,
We
we're
try all
not
those
trying to hold
foundations.
anybody back, we're just
Yeah.
trying to make sure that the structures that are there. Until the last 30 years, most houses in Plainfield have not been rented out by owners, people who bought houses and lived there. That's changing nowadays, but it hasn't changed, it didn't change until probably the last 35, 40 years. And with regards to the Village Green, really only 2 structures that are permanent are your shelter and the bathroom, and that's all that's been there for the last 100 years. And you had to go to the village to get permits for the bathroom to hook onto the village sewers and everything, and a permit if you did the shelter years ago, whenever that was done. And when you did your bathroom, you made the bathroom even more historical looking than
Three points
previously.
for permits?
For some, yes.
Okay.
I can see the advantages for homes and businesses. Do you see an advantage for us as a park to make this decision? I mean, I can see.
Well, you don't need to
how-
make the decision tonight.
No, I understand that. We won't be making a decision tonight. But I'm just curious if you see.
There are grants that are available to not-for-profit entities, historic preservation projects. So say you did want to do, there's, a gazebo shown in the photographs, and say you wanted to recreate that and you wanted to do it to make it match the historic photos, then because you're not a commercial entity, you're not a private property owner, then there's a whole pool of grants that can be available to you. Those are the kinds of advantages as a not-for-profit that are different than, say, residential.
And the residential, right now, because of the economic times, there used to be a rehabilitation credit for property owners up to $10,000. But that has been put on hold during the current economic
Like I said, it could be very costly on these older homes. You got lead paints, you have asbestos sightings and so forth, which I know I've seen it out there.
It's there.
Walking through the area.
It is, it is.
But that's where a lot of money's come up, in regards to, if it's a private owner, they can say, hey, I can't afford this, they have to move to something different, have to re-up.
Correct.
I can't keep the old style and modernize it.
I understand.
So what is the next step you're looking for from us?
Well, we wanted to try and address your concerns and everything because it does change a bit of our strategy for, if you all are not interested in being in, then we have one landmark here, we need to work our way around and get, so that everyone who wants to be in, we find a way to connect them. It's a different strategy for building the district than if you all are interested in being in.
Okay, what we'd like to do is refer this to the Capital and Development Committee so that they can research it further and come up with ideas for the board.
And if any of the other commissioners have any other questions that might come up between now and
One
then.
more question. Do you have a consensus on regards to that square block? Or basically your.
Oh, you mean the whole district?
Yeah, right. What's the feel of the community in regards to on a majority?
I did some research 4 or 5 years ago. I found about 35 people, just talking to 35 of those people who expressed an interest in being in a district. Now, what we will eventually do is we will start talking individually to them, and as the map that I sent to you in your packets, there's several properties that could be landmarked, so we'll make an offer to them if they would like to landmark their property. And we have several people who are having their properties right now looked at and nominations written, but we haven't really done a lot of work. You were the first step, and then we're going to go out, we're going to have a meeting in July, and we'll start talking about our next steps. I don't see this happening for at least 15, 16 months because it's education. That's the reason why we have a National Register of Historic Places downtown Plainfield. It took us a while to get that. We needed to educate downtown property owners as to what the advantages were. And so it takes time. People need to be educated about what it takes. And we had a lot of problems downtown initially because a lot of people didn't understand what it meant. And now they're more familiar and they're more comfortable with what we've done.
Well, my point is also to help myself to decide, like, have a little more consensus on the public in the general, broad area in regards to, how they feel in regards to.
We can definitely invite you all to the educational
That's what I
session.
was just gonna ask.
Yeah.
When we have meetings, we'll invite you, we'll send you an invitation. You can come to
Send it to
meetings.
Carlo.
I will do
he
so.
can then assign the appropriate person to attend.
We have a homeowner who has expressed an interest, if you would like to talk to
Well,
him.
we're just looking at, myself, I'm just looking at the majority of the residents, if they feel strongly. I'm against it.
Well, that was the whole point. I mean, if the residents come in and they vote 85%, we'd like to do this, and then the park district says, well, there's 85%, yeah, let's get involved too. And that'd be great. And if the park district says, no, well, that's fine too.
Well, we're just one vote,
That's right, you're just one vote. You're just a big vote. You got block 10.
How many properties are included in this area?
It's in your map.
It's in our
It's,
map.
it's a text map. But
The map that I sent you at the top.
It would,
But at the same time, we heard a certain community, not be, beat down on the community, you know, in regards to what our.
I understand.
We heard a certain community.
I understand.
So it's 100
What did it say
and
was
10. Okay, so, a contributing building has sort of the hallmarks or the key characteristics for that period of significance. So if it was about Victorian houses, it would need to be a Victorian house. A ranch house would be a non-contributing to that type of district. In this district right now, we're looking at a wider development district. So it's a residential structure, with a period of significance from our early settlement, probably all the way to the 50-year cut. So.
You know, like for downtown Plainfield, you have the building at Illinois and Lockport, where the village hall used to be. That was built in 1998. It's non-contributing. But for example, where the wine and cheese building is, that was built in 1847. It's the oldest building in Will County still being used as a business. It was built by a gentleman who lived on Wood Farm Road. His name was Wood.
On your capital committee?
yes,
Was it on your capital committee? People on your committee also here, so did they hear it?
yes.
Okay, all right. Because we were gonna offer to come talk again if they were interested.
Subcommittee.
So we'll be in touch, and no decision, just mull it over and think about it.
Questions?
And
Well-
Carlos will be your contact.
Okay, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Thank you so much again for the activity.
Hopefully Rich Lee will take my name with us. Sing the couple we got it.
Additionally, we have members from our rec team that are presenting some of our key programs, just to allow them to show you some of the progress or the happenings that have happened within our dance, our basketball, and our Great Adventures programs. So Leslie, Andy, and Cindy are going to come up and give a presentation.
Real quick, as most of you know, I'm Andy, the rec manager. Oversaw the basketball program this season, and kind of do a real quick 2-minute overview of the basketball league that ran this winter. Go ahead to the next slide.
Start slideshow.
Uh-oh.
Upper left, yeah.
There you go, there you go. Go ahead, next one.
Just
Just
use
hit
the enter key.
button. Overall revenue from 2014, which was last year, to this year is up. Obviously, our expenses are too, and that is obviously due to increased enrollment. We increased enrollment from 680 last year to 736 this year, about 50 plus more players. The program, basketball program, has kind of been a staple of programs here. It's always been a big success, much like the dance in our early childhood classes. One of the things that I did this year was the survey results. Three of the things that I look at right away is how do people most often hear about us? Obviously 38% from the brochure, word of mouth and friends, and most importantly, did they enjoy their experience? Obviously, the majority did, 96% did, and 92% recommended it to their friends. Some other things that appeared on the survey results, when you get into kindergarten through 8th grade, it's kind of what we offer for basketball. When you get to the kids at 5th grade on up, they tend to get more competitive and so forth. And team formation gets a little bit more kind of nitpick that. Instead of the park district picking in teams, we're looking at possibly doing that for next year, instead of stacking teams and so forth. Everyone loved just 10 games. 10 games is a perfect amount for a lot of the people, instead of a 20, 30 game season. And we're trying to have a lot of feedback on people registering by grades instead of combining grades. If our numbers dictate that, we'll definitely keep it by grade level instead of combining 3rd and 4th, just have a 3rd grade and just have a 4th grade. As we see here, changes that we made, we're improving on our communications with our volunteer coaches. We're giving them a binder. In those binders, it's going to include kind of a, hey, thank you, welcome to the park district, our code of conduct, what our code of conduct is for the parents, our league rules, contact information, directions to all the schools that they might attend to. a rotation sheet to make it easier for them to rotate the players in and out of the games, and those types of things. That way, in the past, I know we didn't have that for the coaches to refer to. We do have that now. We did this year, since I took over this year, we moved the season back to start practices in December. November is a crazy month with the schools. We tend to not be able to get space at the schools because parent teachers conferences, holiday events and things like that. So we backed it up. And it also helps for people to finish the fall season, soccer, baseball. It gives people, oh, what's next? Oh, let's do basketball. So they start practices in December now, and games in January. It helped a lot because 20 more kids for middle school basketball. Because a lot of middle school kids, boys, finish basketball season in December, so now they can play games in January. Changes in 2016 that I'm looking at doing, and I kind of mentioned this earlier, team formation will be made by the staff of the Park District for K through 4, based on schools, friendship requests, mutuals or carpool, mutual ones. And then we are going to do an evaluation night and a coaches draft for grades 5th through 8th. I think we'll find teams more equally balanced that way. And one of the things that we're always looking for is more school space, especially the weekends. One of the things we tend to notice as we're looking at it, most of our schools are all on the south side of Plainfield. I'm trying to see if we can get some on the north side. We've got the Academy, Osable, Droughton, and Central School are our main schools that we have. That's kind of a quick little overview. Any questions?
You changed the height of the backboard for the younger kids?
Yes, we did. And then that's one thing I forgot to mention, I think that was on there. One of the things that I did change is the younger levels, we use the middle school and then the side hoops, so they go lower. And I was able to do 2 games at the same time, so that it decreases our usage of the school, which decreases our cost. So.
Appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Cindy Ackerman. I have worked at the Park District now for almost 18 years. I am the dance recreational supervisor. These are some classes that we offer at the Park District. We have our mommy and me ballet, tap, hip hop, point, jazz, boys hip hop, ballet, poms, combo classes, and tumbling. Our enrollment numbers for last year, we had 445 participants. This year, we had 443 participants. Every year, I hold our spring dance recital. Years ago, we used to do it at the high schools, but we have definitely outgrown our high schools. On an average, I do 2 shows at the Rialto, and I average about 1,800 people who come and watch their kids, grandkids, whoever. When I started the Park District, I took dance for 15 years.
It's a flash flood warning.
It's a flash flood warning.
What my instructor did is if you had danced for 10 years, you got some type of an award. So when I started doing that, when I started the Park District, anybody who had danced 10 years, they got a gift from us. So this year, I had 9 girls who danced for 10 consecutive years at the Park District. And when I say 10 consecutive years, that means they had to dance fall, holiday, and our winter, spring. Summer, I was kind of blow off. They didn't have to do that. And then I did have 1 girl this year who has danced with me for 15 years. And I also have an instructor now. She danced with us for 17 years. So I had her since she was 3, so that was pretty cool. These are just a few of our pictures of some of the boys and girls that danced with us this year. I do have light touch photography. They come out and they take professional pictures of the boys and girls the day of rehearsal. So parents do offer that, but we have up in the left corner is one of my premier jazz classes. We have our tab, we have voice hip hop, and then our frontline dance team, and then the middle picture, I had 2 little girls who were beginning points. So they danced My Little Girl. Everybody cried at the Rialto, so because we had the DS come in and dance film. That's for 5 minutes. Did you see that one? That was
Yes, very nice.
tearjerker, wasn't it? 2 years ago, I had started frontline dance team. I had girls who wanted to do more. I have so many girls that take 4 or 5 classes with us every week, but they wanted more. So I looked into a competition team. So I started it 2 years ago. What we do is we do 3 local competitions. We don't go very far. It's like 45 minutes away. We've gone to Oak Forest, Midlothian, Joliet. And we brought back numerous trophies. I don't know if anybody's ever seen our trophies, but this year we got some big ones. So they do really good. To continue our success in dance, I am going to offer, like, and I've heard other studios doing this, so I'm copying off them. 1 week you get to bring a friend to class, and hopefully they like what they are doing, and we can get more people to sign up that way. And I'm going to offer adult classes. I did it a long time ago, and it kind of went by the wayside, so I'm trying to bring it back again. I'm putting my word up there, asking parents if they do that. And then offer more combo classes. Right now we do like a ballet tap, so we're going to kind of offer more of a com jazz type of things too. That's all it. Anybody got any questions?
Thank you.
Just to say that, your dance at Rialto, it was, like I said, all put together.
Thank you.
And like I said, on prompts and stuff, if you need more support on prompts,
I know, I should say,
you know,
the
yeah.
maintenance guys helped me out.
Right.
I had jailmate. We did jailhouse
It was
rock.
nice. It was great.
So that was, we tried to do a video clip at it work.
Yeah.
But thank you for coming.
Appreciate it.
Anything else?
It's a wonderful
All right,
program.
thank you.
Thank you for all your work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And finally, Leslie with your Great Ventures.
Hello. My name is Leslie Anderson, for those that don't know me. I am the recreation supervisor that oversees the Great Adventures program. At Great Adventures, we run 5 different classrooms, 4 of them over at the Heritage Center and 1 over at the Streams. And we also follow, our curriculum follows the Illinois state standards for preschool age children. Over at the, with the Great Adventures program, we have a bunch of different activities that go on. I'm going to list a bunch of them there for you, but the very last one is the most recent one that we have incorporated with the program. It is our Lunch Bunch. You can go to look. It's our Lunch Bunch program. The Lunch Bunch program is offered to our morning students to extend their day. They bring a lunch in the morning, and then they can stay with us until 2:30 on their class time days for an added expense, and that's been received very well. The history enrollment, I went back as far as 5 years, which is where we were last over at St. John. It shows what our enrollment was there, and then when we moved over to the Heritage Center via United Methodist, we dropped enrollment because we lost some of the Crystal Lawns, Grand Prairie area. And then when we got into our first full year over at the Heritage Center, we increased that enrollment and continued to increase the enrollment. But when we had a drop on last year of 195, we started asking some questions, started researching some of the area preschools and surrounding park districts to find that their enrollment was down also. Of course, competition is going to hurt us a little bit. We have Lighthouse Movement, Creative World is down the road, we have Kitty Connection, things like that. But the question that comes up is birth rate, and I've had discussions with other people, and the birth rate has affected us. Go ahead, Misty, and because our 2015-2016 enrollment for next year is at 131. We've been through our lottery, we've been through the registration process. Again, we're going to say birth rate, but I can say that we are positive and thinking optimistically because we have had a lot of pregnant moms, newborns, and toddlers running around our building, picking up their preschoolers. And we know that we're going to be getting those students in the future. To increase future enrollment, I'm going to be attending the Plainfield Library's preschool fair, which I do every year in November. That does help out. I do 2 Great Adventures info meetings in February because our registration is in March. In February, I do a morning and an evening info meeting. And I decided this upcoming year to add a 3rd meeting in March so that I can get those that call me in February that say, I'm going to miss this information meeting. Is there any way that I can get the info from you? And of course, we have people tour the building all the time. But if I do this March registration, it's right before that open registration occurs for the lottery, and then I can get more people involved in getting the registration. And then I'll do the Hometown Irish Parade in March, which is helpful. Taking a look at some of the testimonials, of course, we have been in existence for 15 years. We've had a lot of families come through the program, and they are a huge advocate of the preschool program at the Park District. So when new people move into the area, they ask the parents that have put their children in preschools, and Great Adventures always comes up. Of course, you don't have to read these word for word, but the adjectives kind of pop out at you. And our parents, they're constantly giving us information. This happens to come off of the Plainfield Rock Sale website. Someone went on and said, what preschool do you send your children to? And then we started getting an influx of comments from other parents talking about the program. I do lastly want to say that with that 131 in enrollment in the 2015-2016 school year, what we've opted to do was cancel out our PM classes and push those PM students, because the PM classes run very thin. We're pushing those PM students to the AM, and we are almost at full capacity at our AM classes. We only have 17 openings left for those morning classes. And we have from now until August to fill those 17. And then we'll upsell our lunch bunch to those to then, stock our building in the afternoon. So we're working on that. We're gonna push for that and see how that goes. Any questions?
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then the last 2 things before we move to committee then, I appreciate the staff reports, very well done, good job, and then also helps us inform, because those are 3 of our big staple programs that we run within the district.
How's the weather look outside?
Clear enough?
Any weather splinters?
Not here.
Okay, all clear? Okay.
The two things I did include within your, thank you. I did include within my report area was the charters. We came up with 3 charter themes in which communication, awareness, and growth, that came from all those evaluations in the board visioning session I did. With that, we established some goals that were kind of a sampling from all those areas. And then what will happen is staff is in the process of developing their objectives to meet those goals and the tasks in which they'll work towards that objective. So we'll have hopefully a complete list for the July meeting that will then also concur with this abbreviated fiscal year. And then finally, with regards to the master plan, my last week's report, I did report that there will be no meeting on June 24th. Part of the issue was this is the Park District's inventory. This was larger than they were anticipating. And with us going through this, Jennifer and I, it took us a little longer to make sure it was valid, so we were a little delayed in returning it back to them. So the process got a little bit more delayed than they anticipated, and we'd rather have a detailed report than something that's not fully comprehensive for the analysis. And then I also sent a draft of the staff's work at mission, vision, and values. One of the things we'll do is we'll bring that in front of the board, so if you have any ideas of how you'd like to see that altered or if that's acceptable, because what we'll try to do is have that approved by the board before we finish the full master plan. And then that includes between the 2 presentations and part of the presentation, my report altogether. Okay. Any questions? Great.
Thank you. Okay, now we move on to committee reports. Capital and Development Committee, is there a report for today? Is there any highlights from it you'd like to
We
mention?
have
You have a
table.
assignment.
There's a table in there that we went over to talk about the future projects. And there's the ones in red were the new additions, is that correct?
Correct.
New additions, so.
what staff had done is we had put a listing of where we finished off from the capital improvement plan that was established last year, what we had completed, what was the status of some things, and we're also in the process of reevaluating. The capital plan was done in a little bit of a short amount of time, and we're taking a further analysis